Okay, we're streaming.
All right, October 1st, EDC meeting. We'll start with a call to order. Starting myself, Randy Apuzzo, Vice Chair. I'm taking Mike's place tonight. Mike is absent. On to you.
Kirk Brown, member.
Tom Ritliff.
Ken Tetzner.
Jerry Schaefer.
Susan Marcus.
Brian Wagner for the Planning Department.
Thank you all. With that, we have quorum. So we'll move to approval of minutes. Anyone have any comments on minutes?
I just want to say, Brian, this is not your fault, but I find using this new thingamabob that we have to be painful.
Let's just push do we have an approval on minutes? So let's just, before we.
I read some of them. I don't know. I don't have anything. I'll approve.
Yeah, no comment.
So I move to approve them.
So 8:13, let's focus on the 8:13 minutes.
Okay.
So move to approve on 8:13.
Let's do them all
I so
together.
move.
Let's do them all together because I don't think anybody's going to have any comments on that.
Any comments on 9:3?
Nope.
No.
I'll make a motion.
To approve both sets of minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
I second it.
Third? Everybody in favor, say aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, so approved. So now, Susan.
Well, I don't know. I guess I'm going to have to come to your office, Brian, and figure out how to use this thing because I don't know how to read these very well.
It's new technology. We also, it's Drew is Andrew currently responsible?
Excuse me?
Is it Andrew who's the secretary right now?
Yeah.
Given in absence of our current secretary, Kirk, would you be kind enough to take any notes on minutes approved and any other actionables that we speak to? Thank you. Brian, in terms of technology, is there anything to speak to, or just?
Yeah, I was originally under the impression that this software would allow board members to participate in drafting agendas and drafting minutes. I was corrected by our IT director the other day when I asked her why my board members couldn't get in through the board portal to do any of that stuff, and was told, oh no, it doesn't do that. So in terms of setting up agendas and doing minutes, we just have to continue doing what we were doing, which is talking over the phone or via email to set up the agendas, and whoever's doing the minutes, if you just email me something and I can cut and paste it into the new management system.
Andrew, I think.
That helps.
Well, Kirk tonight.
Yeah, Kirk's temporary tonight. All right, with that, we'll move on to public comment.
I have no correspondence for the group, and unless there's general public comment on something that is not on the agenda for discussion, we can move forward.
I would like to say something about the choice of the contemporary theater for that presentation.
Can you just, at this point, your
Roberta
participant,
Mulholland.
Roberta Mulholland. Okay, thank you.
Roberta Mulholland. I wanted to say something about the choice of the contemporary theater for that presentation. I think that should have been done in a much bigger place and a lot more advertisement of it so that more people would have come out for it. It was an uncomfortable place. I understand it works for the contemporary theater, but that room is not really comfortable for a lot of people. And I also think that public meetings, if this was your meeting, and I couldn't understand if it was your meeting or if it was a presentation being put on and they were just going to come to it and had to have an agenda so that you could all go there. But then it said you were going to discuss it. So I was confused about that. And I think it would have been a lot better in the town council chambers or someplace where we weren't looking at that screen from where I was sitting was difficult. It had, don't know, it looked like a board with cloth on it. It had marks
Just,
on it.
I can respond to that a little bit. bit,
you
Roberta?
put it together, I'm sorry.
Because I've been told by the town manager from here on out that we are to use only town facilities. He had a little bit of a heart attack because even though it was the Contemporary Theater, he thought Courthouse Theater, which has issues with the town right now in terms of some code violations. And so he thought we were holding a town meeting at a facility that was in violation. So he said, no more off-site meetings without town manager's approval. Now, we have done them. We did a couple of meetings for the Historic District Commission down at the South Kingstown Land Trust barn because they were dealing with Matunic Beach. So I think we're just going to have to be more careful to run it by the town manager first and make sure it's okay.
I just want to say, my opinion is public meetings should be held in public bodies. You're a town body. I think there are a lot of reasons people might not want to go to a private business. I think it's a little bit of an endorsement of a private business. And the other one you had was the one upstairs in Arnold's for the Main Street people. But there were a lot of other people interested in that 1.2 million in facade improvements. So there was that. I'm not saying you had it, but there was one up there.
Okay.
So that's my general thought.
It can become tricky, Roberta, because there's a lot of competition to get into council chambers.
We have or the high school, or I don't know. This room is okay if they put a sign out there saying lounge down there, tell people where it is. And then you had more
Just a question. I'm not
chairs.
familiar with the other meeting you're referring to at Arnold, you said? What was that?
There was a grant being given out of the ARPA money by the town council, 1.2 million, I think it was. And there was a meeting for interested people. I don't know what it was under, what board it was under, but it was
I actually think the
town.
WVA put that meeting on.
I
Tony put that meeting on from
don't
the
recall that.
Wakefield Village Association.
And even if they were,
Yeah.
why wouldn't everybody in the town know about it and be allowed to come? That's taxpayer dollars. It was coming from the council. I think there just needs to be a little more thought about you're a public body, as are the others, and it's just not you, but think about what's best for the public to come to. I think the presentation was really interesting. A lot of people I know knew nothing about it. It's something that should have been heard by more people. And one of the reasons I'm here tonight is, you did pass around the book for who's interested, but I'm thinking of all the people that didn't know about it.
So what's your recommendation on getting the word out? How?
Well, before you ask that, we'll state this. So that was out of pocket. This committee paid out of pocket for that space. And also we posted social media. We had signs printed. We posted signs up around town. We let locals know. We sent some emails out.
The chamber,
So we had
the
no
chamber-
funding
the
to
chamber-
advertise that event.
yeah, the chamber notified its membership.
Yeah, and we paid out of pocket for the space.
When you said you paid out of pocket,
Like
your
we
personal
all
pocket?
paid money
Each
to
paid
put up
money.
that space. Yeah.
So private money going to pay a business for a public body's meeting.
To get a message out there, because we want to get that message out. And so
We were gonna have them come, we were just gonna have them come here.
You mentioned that we did ask the town council for the funds.
yeah, we did, but we were denied funds for that. So our goal was to get the Main Street message out, and we wanted to do it as soon as possible to get it out there. I appreciate that you came. What's good is that you were there, and glad you're here because we got to you at least, right? So we're trying to get the message out there. Marketing is tough. There are no funds for marketing that type of event. I've had other events where even doing surveys that there's no marketing budget to support. So a lot of it's coming out of pocket or out of just individual labors at this time.
So my question still stands.
So my thought was, if I could respond just
Mhm.
briefly, I thought maybe GrowSmart was paying for it because they do have some money to get the word out there.
I sent Jillian.
Yeah, so they paid for her labor to be there. I guess would be their
But I thought it was more of a GrowSmart initiative, isn't it? It's GrowSmart Rhode Island, Main Street Rhode Island. They're the ones that got the money for it. 125,000.
Well, they got $125,000 from the General Assembly to be the umbrella group for 3 years worth of figuring out how Rhode Island participates in this national program. This grew out of a desire to just invite Joe Violi to come from the chamber and invite somebody from the Village Association to come and to meet with Jillian in this room, just as an extension of the EDC, an EDC meeting, so we'd all know more about what was happening. But when I talked to Joe Violi about it, he said, well, why don't we do this? You know, he said he could do it at his house, but he only could take 20 people in his conference room. So he suggested the Contemporary Theater, and we've used the Contemporary Theater. We had, when we did a survey of property owners and whatever, we've used the Contemporary Theater before. Never, you know, we weren't charging the public to come.
No, again, I'm sorry, because I actually took you to something that's on your agenda, so.
Well,
So
I don't know, I mean,
can,
we, you know,
so I'm still waiting to hear some suggestions on how we could have gotten the word out better than we did.
I'm not here to argue.
No,
I'm here to
asking a question.
listen.
I'm not arguing.
and
I'm
not-
asking a
You
question.
know, I'm just bringing up my thoughts. That's why I came.
Mhm.
Because I was interested. I have some thoughts. That was about the meeting. It went into something you have on the agenda, so I think, you know.
So you said that there were a lot of people you talked to that didn't know about it, and that we should have done a better job getting the word out.
Okay, are you going to just grill me? Is this how
So
you
I'm
treat the
asking a
public that
question.
comes to your meetings?
I'm asking a question.
Roberta, if there are other people that you've spoken to that have expressed interest, they can always reach out to me, and we can make sure their information gets on the list for the next round of meetings. Hopefully, now that we had a meeting, I'm disappointed that there were other people that would have been interested that didn't know about it, but hopefully now that we have, you know, a small critical mass of interested people, that word will spread organically, and we will accumulate as many names as possible, and that can all come through me at the planning department.
I try to keep up on the meetings that go on in this town and let people know that they're happening. So I didn't see anything until Monday. So I don't know where it was advertised.
Where did you see it though? Just curious. Was it online or how did you see it?
I think I got a notice.
You got a notice?
an-
Did we send out a notice? At the town?
a notice from,
I get notices of all the meetings.
Oh,
I
right.
signed up to get notices of all the meetings.
So I posted it as an economic development committee meeting, and if you're signed up through the town, you would have gotten notice of that, and that would have gone out on the
Thursday.
Thursday before to make the 48-hour
Right.
notice period.
But I didn't see it, so no one else I knew saw it. Maria saw it. When I called her and asked her about it, she had seen it.
Mhm.
But she
well,
chose
Maria
to-
knew from me. I don't know, did you ask Maria when she first saw it?
No, I tried
Yeah,
to
so we
grill
should.
people.
I understand where you're coming
It's a
from.
question,
You're
it's not
saying we
grilling.
should.
It's not-
Really try to
It's
maybe.
it's a great idea.
Yeah, let's
And,
talk
you
about
know,
the
get as
positive
many
things. We
people as
should-
possible. That's why I'm
Yeah.
here. It's a
Well,
great
we wanted-
idea.
we
And I
wanted
think
to
it
get
could
as
have
many-
been, you know, other people could have known about it. I'm not criticizing, I'm just saying.
Suggestion.
Yeah.
So we've had similar like complaints from our end because getting the message out is really difficult. So we have.
That's
we
why
use-
we were just
Asking that.
Yeah, we use
because
social media.
We're still trying to figure
We've
it
done
out
printed.
ourselves.
So social media, printed material. Brian's posting through the town social media now. We post on the public social medias. There's different like town social medias on Facebook and like My Neighborhood, and there's a couple of apps like that we post on.
Was it on our
Was it
town?
in Patch?
What's that?
It was in the, should have
In
been
South Kingston Patch?
Should have
I'm
been
not
in
sure.
the Independent. I sent it to
Would
you.
it have
I
helped
don't even
if it
know
was
a lot
in the
of people read
newspaper?
paper.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. I think.
Yeah,
It's
so-
not me because I read the
You read them,
newspapers, because I
okay.
have subscriptions, but
Yeah.
nobody reads the newspapers.
Nobody reads
Yeah.
it, so I do
Right.
them. Oh,
Yeah,
there you go. Well,
So
Yeah,
it's
well,
a
that's
challenge.
our generation reads the newspaper.
I do too, and I sent a notice to the Independent.
Yeah.
We got flyers to the libraries for the bulletin boards. Like, we tried to spread it out across town, but if there are suggestions on other better places to put things, that's all we're looking for. Is
No, I understand it's hard.
Yeah.
I just thought that Grow Smart had a budget and might have helped.
We didn't see any of that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
That's spread across
We
the
don't
whole
get to say
state.
any budgets.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm not trying to put something more on you.
Well, I wouldn't expect necessarily Grossmart to do more than what they did, which was to send a representative to speak about it. If in the future this starts to coalesce together as something that the Main Street Rhode Island program actively supports, then yeah, I would expect that maybe they would start investing some of that $125,000 they got from the General Assembly.
Because she talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She did talk about that, so that would be good. And while you're on it, just in case this goes really long and I want to leave, Peacedale wasn't mentioned. Peacedale is like the stepchild. I mean, there are two real towns. When you talk about Matunic, you got a couple of bars, you have the Seaboot Market, excellent, it's terrible when it's closed. And you have some West Kingston business, but
Yeah, Therese Martin and
Peacedale.
her sister, they used to have the Peacedale neighborhood. I forget what they were called.
Oh, yeah, they did, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that kind of just,
Years ago, Peter, no.
Yeah.
The Peacedale Congress, Neighborhood Congress.
is that what it was called?
Yeah,
Yeah.
decades.
Oh, decade that long ago?
Oh, yeah.
Huh.
No, we had it, it was going on for decades.
Oh yeah. No, I've sat in on meetings with that because I was the president of the Wakefield Village Association.
So,
But yeah, so we used to coexist and try to work on things, and we would try, like if I did something downtown, like not me, but WVA, we would try to pull them in, and we would send a shuttle all through Peacedale to pick up kids or whatever to bring them to downtown, you know.
but like
so.
when you're talking about your list and a lot of businesses from Wakefield and Main Street, but nobody from Peacedale, and she did describe that it doesn't have to be just literal Main Street.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
think that's what we were
And
discussing
we,
earlier.
and
We-
especially this group, we are aware of that, and we're very interested even in like the West Kingston neighborhood around the train station as being a very open for development sort of part of town that we should consider when we're considering initiatives like this. Close to transit makes it particularly good for people who may be commuting to
Yeah.
Providence or Boston for work, and so it makes sense to put more housing there. It makes sense to put more.
You lost me.
Sorry.
You lost me on the house.
Well, the point.
Let's not talk about that. I know you're going to talk about it. So I'm
The
here.
point I was making was about the Main Street program, and so
Yeah.
there's a bunch of different locales in town that could presumably have walkable neighborhoods that have all the things that were mentioned in Jillian's presentation. So Peacedale is on that list. Old Tower Hill Road is on that list. I think Kingston near the library and URI is on that list, as well as West Kingston by the Amtrak station. But again, my opinion, not the opinion of this board.
I think also that meeting, I didn't know what Main Street, I didn't really, kind of just heard things, but that was kind of the first time we really learned more about what it was too, so we're just putting a pulse on it now, because I don't think we all really knew what that program was, and that was kind of an educational thing for all of us.
Great presentation.
Yeah, she did a good job.
And just so everybody's aware, because Kirk mentioned Old Tower Hill Road, I reached out to Jillian on Tuesday and asked her about the Old Tower Hill Road plan. She said she was familiar with it and that she had seen it, and that really wasn't a Main Street America type project, because that's transforming a commercial strip district into
Okay.
Main Street. She said that level of change is not what they do. They typically focus on historic Main Street areas and
Pre-existing.
trying to provide a new spark to revitalize lives in existing traditional Main Street.
Yeah, she said
How to keep the
pre-existing.
lights on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that's good color. I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
but Roberta's right. Peacedale is kind of a red-headed stepchild. It could certainly benefit, and
Of course.
the planning department staff has often talked about this strip of Route 138 from the railroad bridge to Plains Road. That you sort of have a mix. You have some Main Street kind of businesses there, you have some kind of residential stuff.
Yeah.
But that could, with some investment, that could become a really nice mixed-use kind of area that would, improve the front door to URI dramatically, and would also provide could provide some different opportunities to support things at the university as well. So these are things that we've looked at from the planning level as well.
Yeah, no, I agree with all that. I personally rented in Peacedale for a couple of years before moving to Wakefield, and I really like that neighborhood just in general. I think all the neighborhoods that currently have decent transit access, and so just being along the bus route is very important, and so Peacedale is along it, as is West Kingston. So just having these connections, we need to sort of take an inventory of what available resources already exist that we don't have to spend money to add to a situation, and then figure out how we can, best utilize those resources the town already has.
That strip that you talk about would be excellent. It's dangerous getting across the road there. It's pretty dangerous most of the time if you're walking.
Yeah.
But that's a strip that's never really had anything
Strangely,
happen.
considering.
It's basically been the way it is since I was a small child going to the Baptist church that's right there. It's no longer a Baptist church.
Mm.
It really hasn't changed.
With the agenda, this is new business, so we'll switch old business to after this. So let's continue on the Main Street till we wrap it up, and then we'll move into old business because that will be after the fact. One question I had from Jillian, or I had to Jillian, I didn't get to ask publicly, was about qualifications, and I was qualifying. She had used two words: grants and investors. And I'm like, okay, what is an investor? Because that's a very loose term, and it is. Then just so we're not making any assumptions, it's exactly what we think. Land investors, people coming from outside, buying properties for rentals or commercial investments. So that's the style of investor that she was talking about, not just money coming in from investors can mean a lot of things, but that's directly what she quoted. So, and then the second one was grants, and I asked, give me an example of a size grant and what these grants can be for. And she gave me an example of a $5,000 grant to buy local art to hang in windows on Main Street, which is fine. That's something to do. But that's an example of a grant. Like, I was trying to think, what's a grant? Could a grant be, a new facade or statue or a sign? I don't know. But nothing of that, right? It would just be, it sounds like things that are interactive support, not large scale grants. It doesn't sound like anything over 10,000 would be in the runnings. But like a grant to hang lights, right, could be a possibility to light Main Street up or something like that. So that was the level of grant which she spoke to. When I hear grants, I think grandiose, large grants, right? But we're talking small scale grants too. That just adds, I think, a little bit of culture. I'm not saying it's bad. There's money to do something. If we can pay local artists and distribute 5,000 locally, that's going to help the economy in general. That's cool. But just so it was qualified of what is a grant, and if all those grants come out of that 125, if there's 10
No, I think
major
they're,
streets, or
It's federal.
it's
No.
federal.
National, I mean.
Yeah,
Okay.
National.
yeah, no,
So-
I don't think that I
Isn't
think
there
that
a Main Street
125 is
grant
mostly
at
to
state
run- to
level
run
with
this
Commerce?
first-year program.
So covering her salary.
Yeah,
and
her
things
salary,
like that.
yeah,
Okay.
It
That's
doesn't
good.
have
Yeah.
I'm going to reach out to her. She mentioned the ROI. If I remember, it was for $1, $24, right?
Right, for every
That's a
dollar.
huge
That's a
ROI.
huge ROI, yeah.
So I wanted to find out what is that, it probably is $1 spent for the Rhode Island out of that.
No, I think that's a number from Main Street America.
Okay. All right.
And I've seen that number before, for Main Street America things, and it is that program, so it's not gross marks.
Yeah.
Money. But you could,
So for every dollar they spend, they.
That's what they were
produces
saying.
more.
Yeah, it was a-
Produces
that's
more.
That's what I thought, but,
Yeah, because you'll improve your business and.
right.
I mean, in the towns where this stuff gets going, it really does it really is transformative.
Right.
It really makes a difference.
I liked when she mentioned that it was, a sort of a support element for developers to know that that exists in
Yeah.
town.
And she did say when they know it is that the developers get interested.
Yeah, right.
And that's behind it, yeah.
Below on here we have Main Street America.
Randy, one
Yep,
quick question.
Go
When you
for
go
it.
back to those grants, is it just,
Mhm.
when you talk about art, could it be like if we beautified sidewalks or we add lanterns and things like that, that grant money could be used for that?
So I asked for these
Benches.
Yeah, I would
Planters.
assume I asked for the
Planters.
examples, and those were the two examples that were given to me. So I would say an actionable on our end. I guess Kirk would be an actionable for us, and I'll kind of give it to Susan since you have the connection. Would be how do we, if we have ideas for grants, how do we apply? Maybe that's just a question to Jillian
Oh, well, I don't think we can now.
until we have a cohort.
I don't think the Main Street America program is funding grants at the moment. I think they're doing this, I could be wrong, but I think they're doing this first year as an education so that people learn what it can do, and then subsequently they would Main Street America.
Got it.
Main Street America is sending people to these 6 sessions to do the training, but I don't think there's any financial reward in year 1.
Okay, that's very good to know.
You can go to the Main Street America site, and it talks all about the process of joining, because
Yes.
Susan actually raised this a couple of years ago, and I went to the site, and the interest was trying to get South Kingstown into Main Street America, but you can't do it without a state level program, and you can't have a state level program without a sponsor to bring you in, and then there's a whole sort of introductory process for potential new members. So.
Yeah. So that's where we are. That's what Jillian got. Jillian got us to the point where Rhode Island is now moving in the direction of becoming a member of Main Street America.
And does Rhode Island need like towns like us? to
Yes,
commit?
it needs towns to commit.
So the
to it.
best thing we could do is collect those individuals.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So I guess
participate in
the actual.
Do we know the towns that are participating in the state?
this. No, because they haven't been chosen yet.
Currently, it's no towns are fully participating in Grossmart, is what
Oh.
she said in the presentation.
Well, wait a minute.
I thought it was
Grossmont-
Woonsocket or.
Woonsocket, she said, was doing something similar, but is not
Okay.
officially associated with the program, is what she
Okay.
said in the presentation.
Yeah, and there are different activities around Rhode Island with it involve Main Streets, but none of them are technically Grossmart, and none of them
Yeah.
are Main Street America. They're just 3 or 4 towns that have done stuff on their own.
All right. So then I'll ask the committee here. Do you think is it economically beneficial for us to become one of the first in Rhode Island?
I don't see how it hurts, frankly. I mean, it is a commitment of time in the first year, but it is a learning process that could be valuable beyond. It's not going to be money for us in the first year, but if it leads to a more organized community that can design a sense of what it wants to be and then take that forward, I think that would be very important. So yeah, I think we should be one of the 10, and I think Jillian would look favorably upon our request to be one of the cohorts. One of the towns in the cohort. And at the end of the learning, if you don't want to do it, as she said repeatedly, if you don't, if we go through this and Ken says, no, this is a terrible thing, we don't want to do it, we don't have to do any more. Over now.
Any other comments from committee? We all on the line with Susan?
Right.
Okay. So I suggested it's something that we'll commit to future agendas to build a team to work with Jillian.
Okay, I'm going to send an email to these people and thank them for coming and tell them that when I have more information from Main Street, from Gross Smart about what the next step is, I'm gonna let them know.
I think the biggest hurdle is getting somebody to be in that lead role, right? That sounds like a pretty
Eli
significant time
seemed,
commitment.
Yeah, Billy.
yeah, Joe seemed interested.
Okay,
So I chatted with him outside.
Okay.
It seemed like
that's good.
You know, and if you're gonna follow
That's right
the
up his alley.
list,
Yeah.
maybe include
Ely.
something
Ely.
to the people who attended, if they
Thank
know
you.
of anyone else, to share your email,
Oh, yeah.
so that we can get
Okay.
additional people.
Okay.
Might be a good idea.
Yeah, good idea, thanks. Okay.
There were a couple of notes here, Susan. I know you're the most in tune to these, but we have 3 bullet points, which I think we covered. But the RI legislative Main Street press release, is there any comments or you have on that specifically?
I didn't know what the press, I had to look at the legislature press release.
Brian, did you have a look at that?
Yeah, it's a press release announcing that they had passed a resolution giving the $125,000 to
Grow
Grow
Smart,
Smart
yeah.
to
Okay.
pursue state involvement in Main Street America.
Yeah.
You know,
So it's the news we all know.
yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other further comments on Main Street America? Good. All right, we'll move into old business, which we're moving after new business. So, the first discussion topic is the EDC surveys, and I can give an update. The workplace survey is complete. It's been copied to a few members. It's in the hands of the Chamber of Commerce. The first pass of distribution is going out through their newsletter, which goes to all their members. They're going to send an individual email 2 weeks from now, I believe on the 14th, just to re-promote that getting out there. The form is tested, it's online, it's collecting data. Last I checked, I was the only one to test it. I'm the only data point right now. I haven't checked it since I came in here in the last couple hours. At this point, we can distribute that. We can use social media through Brian. We can also post it on the local town social media as well. This is an open form. There's no specific deadline. We can make a deadline, but right now it's open. And we can start distributing that any means possible through social media or through networks, through email lists, however. We can do a flyer with a QR code, but that is actively live. And the first pass, we hopefully will have some data coming in the next couple of days through just the Chamber of Commerce.
When did it go live?
It was completed this past week, but it is being sent in the Chamber newsletter. I don't know when that's being sent, but that's the first time that's going to reach the public. It's a link.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, the last time we did a survey through the Chamber, we got about 40 responses in the matter of 3 days. Yeah, 2 or 3 days. And then the other means would be distributing via social media. So it's out there.
And how's it going with the hospital? Is the hospital?
So the hospital one is, it's on Drew's plate to help with the logic behind the form, because that one is much longer and more complicated, and there's many if then that scenarios where if you answered this, then you get this set of questions. If you answered that, you get that set of questions. So it has not been sent out. The form itself has been built, but the whole logic stack that helps the form has not been solved yet, and it's currently in Drew's hands, like the ball's in his court to complete that. My suggestion there is if we
Who's Drew?
Andrew.
Oh, Andrew.
Sorry, yeah, Andrew Holt.
He's the,
Okay.
one of the IT gurus here. Right?
Yeah, sorry, Andrew.
Okay, I
Our
see.
member, Andrew.
Okay,
Yeah.
I call him Andrew, I didn't call him Drew. Okay.
Yeah, his email's Drew, so
Okay,
that's why I
okay,
mostly
okay.
see his email.
Okay.
So excuse my
Okay.
shorten it there. But yes, Andrew Holt.
Okay.
I don't want to speak for him, he's not here.
Yeah, okay.
Also, Mike is absent. But I would like to suggest, we're going to collect the data on this one. We're going to do the distribution through social media. We'll see where it goes, and come next meeting, I think that we need to we don't have a form ready, the digital. I think we need to look at either simplifying it, like not adding questions, but removing questions so we don't have to have a complicated form, so we can get distributed.
Yeah.
Because the hospital's been great, very patient with us on it. And it's not, he's waiting, so it's not like it matters, right? It's helpful for him when he sees the data, but he also knows that we were looking to have otherwise it's a very long one. That one's almost 4 times the size of the one we just sent, which when their logic's in there, it reduces the size. So that's the status of the 2 surveys now. As data comes in, it'll be shared in the next meeting. I'll print it out, and we can send it to all the members. I believe, Brian, I just copied you on a couple emails with it, just as like FYI emails.
Okay.
But you have an email, you can then distribute that to our board so they can share the link around.
Okay.
Because I was careful not to copy too many people on that email. So that's it. Any questions on the survey? Suggestions? No? Okay.
I do, because I'm not familiar with it.
Mhm.
What is the Innovation Center and Workforce Survey about?
So it's a survey.
It's actually 2 separate surveys.
Correct. Yeah. The workforce survey is for. We're going to the hospital and URI, 2 largest, say, employers in the area, and there are questions around where they live, commute time, household income range, renting, desire to live in South Kingstown, family size. So it's gathering information that's going to help developers know what size units do we need to have, what do we need to make adjustments to support the workforce community. So there are a lot of housing, for example, there are housing plans, transportation plans, that this data would help support the reason to, say, increase transportation, or when there's a development being considered, what size units would be the most optimal. So that's the type of data it will come back with, which we can help the town make better informed decisions with local developers. And then the other one it's about the remote workforce, since that is a big driver, and the majority, there is not a great industry. I'd say there's not new industries inside of South Kingstown, where the primary driver of high income earners are remote workers that are moving here and starting to work here, and understanding their behavioral patterns, and if there's need for different types of facilities to support the remote workforce, and that's what that one's about. So,
Is that what you've talked about, going on the Wakefield Elementary School property, or in it?
so the Wakefield Elementary School property, that was discussed in the past, but that being connected to this survey is no longer connected to this survey. This survey is an inquiry to see, just an exploratory inquiry to see what the demand is locally without attaching it to a facility.
And is that different than someone was talking about maker space or something at the Monday night thing, and pointing to the Wakefield Elementary School?
So there are,
But that's not what this is about.
this is an exploratory survey to understand the need and desire for these types of things in the town. So it's not directly connected to a facility
Okay.
anymore.
Just
Yeah.
to be clear, Roberta, it started out as a survey focused on finding alternative uses for Wakefield Elementary School. The council expressly asked that it not focus on the school, but that it go forward looking at some of these questions town-wide in terms of interest and need for those kinds of facilities.
There's so many more remote workers.
I am one myself. My network is, and I'm seeing more and more of it, and they're bringing families in. So we're not getting new families due to industries growing here. We're getting new families because you're moving, and it's like, oh, well, you get a beach community, and there's a draw, right, to it. Having a nice park, having nice facilities, having an awesome Main Street, being 10 minutes to a beach. They're bringing in people who can afford the housing cost here, and those people are bringing families. So there's one economic driver here, and it's just a coincidence that remote workers, the whole remote, I guess it's kind of mixed now, right? But after way. Some businesses are forcing people back in and they're commuting, but there's still the train station to go up to Boston here, you know, within an hour and 10 minutes.
My
It's
daughter,
actually-
my daughter does that.
Yeah, it's faster for me to take the train here to Boston than it is for my brother-in-law lives in Seekonk, who's an hour north to get to Boston, just because of the whole relativity of time and space. So it's a great drawer to bring people in. So
Some places incent workers to move in and pay for moving costs. Sometimes it's a tax holiday for a year or two. You know,
Mhm.
they're not major incentives, but they help. It's too bad none of those are available here.
it could be. I mean, having data could lead to
Yeah.
making a case to have
Something at the state level.
Yeah, there is nothing at the state level, but there are other, just as a comment, there are other towns and other states that are promoting this concept to bring people in that are high income earners, to be like, this is a remote mecca, this is where you want to live, it's family oriented, you can walk to a coffee shop, there's a bar, there's a bike path, right? So they're taking in the high income workers and they're promoting it, and they're using digital means to promote the message to get people interested in moving to their town. So it's a cheap way to bring in high income earners that spend and build economy without having to grow an industry, which we don't have the means to grow an industry here immediately, right? We've talked about industries here, but anyways, it's probably I'm going way over. I'm going on a tangent here, but there you go. There's my long-winded answer for you.
I appreciate it.
Well,
Thank
the
you.
other thing we've found in the past is that we've had a lot of people who have gone to URI and want to stay in Wakefield or South Kingstown. And they would stay and start businesses, or they would stay and, I don't know, start businesses, but they can't. It's the community hasn't really offered them the kinds of supports they would need to do that. So there's been some frustration. We've heard that at the EDC, we've heard that for the past decade or so from
Yeah.
URI graduates, that
Right.
they want to stay, but they really can't.
And even if there's housing, the housing costs
Yeah, there's
provided
no-
from the state, there's no jobs.
And there's no rental housing that a graduating senior, master's holder, whatever, could
Yeah.
afford, yeah.
So the incubator side of that is part of, can we look at the industries or what the trades that are coming out of URI and build industry off of them? That was another thing we looked at as well.
I have listened to your meetings.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I listened to them.
So you must know all of this
Well,
pretty
you don't
well.
have a lot that I can find the audio for this year. I'm having trouble on the towns thing.
There are YouTube, because they got us the
Oh, you're
remote
doing-
streaming
oh,
thing.
No, I didn't know that. I'm going to the thing and like the last audio was February.
Right.
So I didn't know that you were doing
Yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah,
Oh.
no, we had people ask about getting all of the boards
Yeah, that's
and
great.
committees
Oh, that's
on
great.
streaming, and this was a solution that we were given. Like I said, competition for council chambers is tight. We have this portable system when we have to be outside the chambers.
Oh, that's great. Oh, I didn't know. I'm not gonna catch up with all of that, but I'll start.
There's a lot,
Yeah.
a lot of things
Backwards.
bouncing around.
Friday night
I have a
popcorn.
hard enough time reading my emails.
And,
Yeah.
and there were some bobbles at the beginning because the system crashed or didn't get started up
Not
right.
going
So there
back.
were
Not going back.
So
There's not
learning-
enough time to go
growing
forward.
pains.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on to the Tower Hill Road neighborhood plan, which is the form-based code, BC. So this is something that we're very pro, and we're looking to push and working with local business owners to help them learn what they need to make this happen. There is definitely a negative sentiment amongst some of the property owners along the way. So one of the concepts I wanted to bring up is looking at positioning the form-based code in terms of incentive. I think that I'd say the general way it's being understood is that it's a forced thing. It's forcing the hands of the property owners. And they feel like they're being forced to do something and they're going to fight it, right? Whereas it can be repositioned that it's incentive based. If you commit to this, you're going to get new zoning. That new zoning can open up your property to double your commercial space and add residential. And I don't think that incentive is understood. So ideas to say reposition it, to present it as an incentive-based program for the property owners versus a force your hand guide, right? Which I think that's the way it's coming off. So open discussion there. That's where and Susan or whoever wants to speak to that.
You could, okay, I mean, we've heard, or at least I've heard through the grapevine, this opposition, but is there, or has there been any forum where they've gotten together to sit down and say, this is why we object to it?
No.
Yeah, so.
I mean, Tom, we have had a number of public meetings
Oh.
where people have had the opportunity to express.
No, no, I'm
objections.
not suggesting another meeting like that.
Yeah.
And you're right, there's been a lot of them. But I think some of these property owners haven't gone to them. And so I think their major objection is, yes, this gives me the potential to do more with my property, which is good. But they're afraid that if they or somebody that buys their property in the future wants to make changes, then they will have to do it, assuming that they're large changes, so that they're not grandfathered. They will have to abide by the form-based code, and that's what they're
So
objecting to, right?
this is where they need to participate in the public process when this actually comes up for hearing at the town council for the adoption of the ordinance. They need to participate in that process.
But I think, Kevin, we also discussed that that's kind of late. I thought what we were talking about was that the EDC was gonna look again at what it says in the document about the kinds of return you might expect on your investment if you did these things, but we haven't made any progress with that.
Yeah.
So I thought at one point we were talking about having, understanding ourselves clearly what was involved there, what kinds of arguments you could make that would allow you to talk to the property owners and say, well,
Here's
but
the cost benefit.
yeah, this is the exchange you're gonna make. You might have to do something, but this is what you would get. Or if you don't do this much, you don't have to do that, or whatever. But we haven't done that yet, so.
What I think is that they know that. They are aware they can double the utilization of their property. They can double the footprint. They can build higher, they can do mixed use. I think they know that, so it's surprising and disturbing that despite that, they're still against this. And I think they're looking at the negative side when you flip the coin over is, yes, I have the potential for doing this, which is good, but if I make substantial changes or I sell the property to somebody who will make substantial changes, they don't have the option. They have to use the form-based code, which I think is good for the town, but I think as a property owner, that's the hurdle that they don't want to jump over. They feel that their hands are tied because you can't just make moderate changes or even substantial ones without pushing the sidewalks back and all that. That's what I've heard from Ms. Larry.
Yeah, but I think I
Is
don't
it
know.
push the sidewalks back?
No, no. There's a lot.
Bring the
there's a-
property closer
there's-
to the
there's a
sidewalk.
lot of- There's a
Right.
lot of
Yeah.
misinformation, even among, I think, I agree that the property owners I've heard have understood that they can go up, they can bring in residential, they can do a whole bunch of things like that. I think what they don't sort of like being told this is what they have to do if they make changes, they don't like that.
Right.
But I think they also need to tell us a little bit about, Ken says that some of them don't wanna make any changes because they've rented their property and it's rented. Larry will tell you that the mall is rented for 50 years and he can't give up a parking space. And that's the kind of discussion that I think we need to have somehow.
Let's say that's the case. There's nothing at all that says you have to change. You can continue doing that.
Yeah, I know.
You don't have to make any improvements.
Yeah.
And even if you make
So maybe they're not getting involved because they just feel like they're not gonna make the improvements that'll push the code, so they just,
Yeah.
I can't speak for people, but
No,
I'm
that could, I think there
I've
could
heard
be,
that.
I think there could be a lot of just
I've
lethargy.
spoken with a few of them and, yeah.
Yeah, they just don't.
Their other thing is, they had this
Yeah, a long time ago, and so some of them are stuck on, you know, I put time in then.
Why do it again?
Do you really think this is gonna happen? I'm like,
Yeah,
well, it's
there's a
moving
certain-
along, you might wanna get
Yeah,
involved, but
yeah.
they kinda have that, they don't wanna put the time in maybe because they don't know if it's gonna come to.
Yeah, so
Is it substantial investment on business owners?
Yeah.
They don't have
And,
to-
and.
They don't have to invest anything.
Right, so
Yeah.
that's what you're saying, it's either.
No, only if they get to the point, which I think it's if they get to the point if they spend 50.
So it's currently not specified in the,
It's not
in the,
specified.
in the draft ordinance, but it can be anywhere from completely voluntary. The drawback is you'll have a lot of people who don't wanna make the investment and you'll never see any change.
Yeah.
Because it's not cohesive.
Completely
Well, it's not forced,
mandatory,
exactly.
where if you invest $1,000 in your property, you automatically have to bring the entire property into compliance. One of the things the council is going to have to decide on is where in that spectrum do you set the line?
Right.
If you do repairs that equal 25% of the
Tax
assessed value of the property, does it kick in there? Does it kick in at 50% of the assessed value? Does it kick? So these are things that people need to be heard on at the council level, because these are some of the fine tweaks that the council is going to have to make in debating how they adopt this code, if they choose to adopt it.
So I'd say we have heard that, right? So like, do we need them to come in to tell us what we know? And that'd be is the
Oh,
whole.
you mean the property owners?
Yeah, and knowing that they're not.
What if, I have a question, what if, there is a property that falls under this, but the business that's in that property could not, you know, it's regulated and it couldn't do this because you can't have people living above it and you can't have people, you know what I mean?
I heard that from the bank.
Mm.
I mean.
Yeah, like a
the
bank.
Living
banks-
above the bank.
The
Yeah.
people, you can't have, the bank apparently said we can't have people living above it, and I said, well, where are the bank robbers gonna live if they can't live above it? I mean, have you ever been in a place where there are people who live above banks? Have you ever been to New York City? Have you been to Providence? Have you ever been anywhere? People live above banks and somehow
Exactly.
those banks don't get robbed. So, I don't know, there's just a lot of noise in the system.
Yeah, but we have to cut through that and just.
We just
I'd
have
s-
to let that go.
We need to make sure that concessions have to be suggested, and if it's not even approved right now, that what is that percentage? If not even written in, like I've heard 25%,
Yeah.
I've heard this and that, but if
No,
it's
it's not written in.
If it's not written in, I'd say like that. Rather than them coming in and fighting, from what I hear is if we put a percentage, and not say we, but the town, however the representative of the form-based code. If the form-based code includes a percentage that says if you 25% of your assessed value spent on upgrades, you all of a sudden have to do this or you're fined. I don't know what the fine is, whatever. I don't know what that is yet. If it's there, they're gonna get together and fight it, and that's what I've heard. So that's where we're at. So we don't come up with, say, a suggestion to concede that it's optional. And so the benefit is if you commit to it, your land is all of a sudden worth a lot more because you can quadruple your commercial or add residential and whatnot. Then they're incentivized to do it without being forced by a percentage of their
Okay,
place, right?
so I'd like to agree with you, but let me just put something out here. So,
Mhm.
say you have somebody, and I know this somebody, but I won't name him. Say you have somebody who is planning to make changes to his property.
Mhm.
Now, he's planning to make substantial changes to his property, and he's fighting this, and he doesn't have to, because he could make he's going to make substantial changes anyway. He could make them in line with this new form-based code and get a lot more out of it, but he doesn't see that yet. He just sees that he might have to make some sacrifices that he doesn't want to make. And I think that's unfortunate, because he's going to do something where he won't get as much out of it as he could.
Yeah.
And the town will be stuck with somebody who has done something like the Chipotle thing, where they've done something and it hasn't quite matched what it could have been. And if they'd done it a little differently, it could have been better. And so that's why I think it'll be too bad. It can't be voluntary, I don't think. It has to be some number, but I don't know what the number should be.
But the incentive would be you get the code change. Otherwise, if you don't do it, you don't get the code change, right? So if you the code change opens up more commercial space,
It
more
opens up,
residential,
yeah.
right? So it increases the value of the property at that point. So my suggestion is we help change it so it's incentive based, like the way it's presented. I don't say that we need to change the code. The code will need to say certain things, right? But the way it's presented right now is you're forced to do this, right? That's how they hear it. That's how it's being heard.
Well, that's how it's
regardless.
being heard. I don't
Yeah.
know how you change it, because it's not really being said that way, so I don't know.
Yeah, and we understand it in a different way here, but it's being heard as you're
Yeah.
forced to do this. And that
I don't know how
we got to change that. And we've already gotten feedback from all the owners, and we know what it is. Right?
Well, no, we
So,
haven't had feedback from all of them, but we've heard from some.
Yeah.
And I don't even know, I mean, I've only heard from 3, and I think they're the 3 who've been the most opposed. I don't know what the other have said. And
Yeah, I mean, are they representative? Are they the squeaky wheels that
Well,
we're
they're-
just listening to, or?
I don't know how to compare them to the others, but they're certainly the ones who complain.
Yeah.
We did manage to go to the biggest complainers first.
Brian from
Are the
from
objections
town.
consistent?
Mostly they're, don't tell me what to do.
Yeah, and they're a tight group, I'd say. Right?
Yeah.
They all get each other's number and they have communications. Brian, we've talked about this before, but the town there's going to be a hearing, the town's going to pass it. Is it based upon public sentiment, or is it just based upon what the town wants to do? Like what?
Town council.
It's a vote of the town council, whether they are swayed by public comment or not, it's a vote of the town council. It's a legislative act, it's not appealable.
So there's nothing they could technically do to stop this from occurring.
Well, they stop it by participating in the public debate over the adoption of it's not like a planning board decision approving or denying a development application, which can be appealed to the court system. This is a legislative act, and absent a question of constitutionality or something like that, it's not open to challenge in the same way that a normal development decision is.
So at this hearing, it sounds to me like we're going to have very influential people, namely the property owners right there, opposing this. I don't hear a whole lot in terms of people advocating it. And that's why I've said in the last meeting, I'm thinking of writing a letter to the newspaper, because I think that aside from the property owners right there on Old Tower Hill Road, the other property owners in town have a piece of this, and that is the potential to have increased tax revenue, which helps everybody in the town.
Well, I mean,
And
I
I'd like to
think, I think this board has a couple of options. I mean, you can do what you're suggesting, Tom, which is
That would be on an
public
individual
outreach.
basis, not as an EDC.
Well, the EDC can do it as a town group as well. You could engage in some public outreach efforts. You are also an advisory board to the council. You can, and I expect that you probably should, weigh in with a communication to the council, one way or the other.
A letter, for example.
I know that the Affordable Housing Collaborative is working on a letter with respect to this project as well, because they have an interest at stake. Because a lot of the second and third floor properties are likely to be residential, because frankly, that's what the market is demanding. We're not, we don't have people beating down our doors for commercial space. We have people beating down our doors to convert commercial space into residential, even in places where our zoning ordinance requires it to be commercial.
Right.
Yeah, and we don't have a lot of commercial space at all.
So last meeting, we said we were gonna write something up, right, for publication?
Well, I think the last meeting, we said we were going to explain to ourselves how what we understood from Bourgeois' description of the return on investment for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, we haven't done that yet. I think we have to do that, because I think if we're communicating with the town council,
Right.
we should be making the tax base argument, we should be making the rental argument, we should be making the return,
The investment.
the investment.
And Mike and I went through the numbers,
Uh-huh.
just the two of us, without any help from Beaujolais, whatever it is. We did, and we were able to get through just about all of it and explain it. So they do make sense.
Okay,
And that's what I think
so can you
But-
draft
but
that
so-
up and
well, okay,
circulate
then
it here so we
what-
can?
All we did is take that spreadsheet and just say, how did they get this number, and try to figure out. It would have been a hell of a lot easier to have a 15-minute teleconference with the guy who did it, which is what I requested. But
Yeah.
since that didn't happen,
Yeah.
we went through it and figured out, how did they get this number? Oh, yeah, it's this times it. So we could trace through the numbers, and they basically made sense.
They're believable even, do you think?
Short answer, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
this is the property increase, the value of the property increase.
Yeah. But I mean, that needs to be summarized for general consumption.
Well, and that's, I mean,
And,
if you.
and he uses, it's sloppy work, and based on what I've seen and I've done in the past. He's got mixed units, so in one column he's got annual, and another column monthly, so you have to sort through all that. It needs to be cleaned up.
Okay, so I think first of all, I think we should talk to the affordable housing people and see what they're planning to say.
Yeah.
Because our argument ought to align.
Right.
It's not going to be their argument,
Right.
but we ought to know what they're talking about. And then I think maybe you and Mike need to start drafting something.
Well,
that,
I had said to him, for example, I said, I think I'm going to start that letter I mentioned. Then he said, don't do that. We're going to do that. We being the EDC.
yeah, well, so
I stopped in my tracks.
I'd just like to say, who writes on the EDC? You're looking at the person who writes on the EDC. But I can't write that because I didn't do that analysis. If I'm gonna
Yeah.
start, I'd be perfectly willing to start a draft, which I could share with Brian, who would make it
Mhm.
more town-like and less
Politically
international.
correct.
Economic development. But I'm perfectly willing to sort of be the drafter for that. I mean, the collector of people's ideas for that, and to draft something. So that we have something.
And then have
And-
the data points.
Yeah, and we didn't generate
Okay.
data. We just examined the
Yeah.
numbers, which
Okay.
on the face value didn't seem to make sense. And again, when you start comparing in one column, annual and monthly, without being clear about it, it took some, this is what he meant type of stuff. So it needs to be condensed and cleared up. And what is it, Beaujolais or?
I think it's bourgeois. but-
Bourgeois, okay, bourgeois. Bourgeois is probably the best person to just clean that up. It would probably take 10 minutes. It's not.
We had findings and say, just confirm this is good, something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, or we could try to simplify, the numbers.
But I
But-
think we were told we can't go back to bourgeois.
Yeah, because then it would
Because
generate a
somehow
bill,
that's
yeah,
a
yeah.
billable feature, so we have to do it, I think we have to do it ourselves. So Mike isn't here tonight, can we decide that you and Mike will write something up, and you and I?
Well, this
you
is a
and Mike and I
spreadsheet we
could-
looked at, so, I mean, I'm capable of writing, but.
Oh, okay.
I'd say let's just say the goal from you assessing, is there something simple? Is the property value gonna go up 150%? Something like that. What is the base average of what the increase of value is maybe over time? Something like that, because if we're gonna get it in the newspaper, if it's this form-based code is going to increase the property owner's value by X%.
Wait a minute, I think we're
And-
talking about two things.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
We're talking about two different things. He might write a letter to the newspaper, But I'm
And-
talking about the communication we would be sending
Yeah.
to the town council saying, we the
Oh, okay,
EPC
got
are
it.
in support of this. So that paper
We've communicated that to the town,
to the town.
that we're in support of that.
Yeah, but we haven't done it in a way
Based
that,
on
See,
we
criteria.
haven't done
Okay.
it.
And also, let me just clarify, the reason why I'm thinking of writing the letter is because I see this big chunk of taxpayers out there. Most of them don't know what we're talking about here, okay? And there's the high school issue, right? Everyone's worried about their taxes in the high school. This has the potential for increasing the tax base for the town if it's passed. You know, it's not gonna skyrocket up. Not every business is gonna get blown away and a new thing come in. But little by little, it does promise to add to the coffers. And nobody is appealing to that large segment in terms of voters. Because, you know, the property owners have influence. The Old Tower Hill property owners have influence, but they have one vote, basically. There are a lot of other people out there that should be informed, so they can either say, I agree with the property owners, this is not a good idea, or, hey, wait a second, I want to see the town change in a positive way.
Right.
And guess what? My taxes might benefit from it, you know?
level, right?
Yeah, I'm not gonna say
Stay
go down.
level,
Right,
At
stay
all.
level as opposed to go up.
Yeah, or go up at a lower rate.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to get across to
totally agree
that
with
segment.
I totally agree with that.
The town council.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
just to say, there's two things. So there's this public informational post, right?
Yeah.
Call that, and then there's also the town council saying
Right.
we may suggest you make these modifications to support the local business owners.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I think we should write why we're in favor of the passage of the form-based code, and if there are modifications, or if there are things we feel they need to be doing, like fixing a line for how much,
The technical.
yeah, if there are technical issues, we could list a couple of those and ask them to solve those, or make our own suggestions for what they might be, or whatever. But I think we need to communicate with
Yeah.
them in a way that,
And soon, because.
Yeah.
soon.
I think what Tom's saying is right, because it's not just that group that should be driving it, it's the whole town.
Right.
You know,
And if
because
there-
there's our livelihoods, our future, our, what we want as a town, you know, just because you don't have a business on Main Street, you know, they should have a say in it, right?
Yeah.
This is our community.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
And yeah,
That's-
so those are two things that should be in Tom's letter,
Yep.
and then the son's
And
letter.
I was gonna do this, just a private citizen.
You have to write to the independent, you have to sign it as an individual, so.
Yeah, and that's,
you would do
well, I
that.
usually do it to NT, but I could do,
Well-
I'll do both, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say the goal is obviously you want to make it a good
Yeah.
thing, right? And even show for the property owners, not just the town. Like property owners are going to see benefit, town's going to see benefit.
Yeah.
Regular, I think
Yeah.
a very positive overall sentiment would be really.
Yeah, because otherwise I see this meeting occurring, the town council meeting, and the property owners of the Old Tower Hill being irate
We'll drive
for
it.
the reasons we just said, and then they think, okay, we spent whatever it is, $100,000 for this thing, and let's just put it in the old desk, and that's it. 'Cause
When is the
that's
meeting?
what's gonna happen.
They haven't set anything yet.
No, I haven't seen.
No, they
The-
haven't, because the planning board hasn't even
The,
voted it
the
out.
planning board has to complete its review and provide, its advisory recommendations on the ordinance. That's required by state law. Planning board has to comment on, any change to the zoning ordinance.
And they haven't done that yet.
When's that happen?
What?
When would that be happening?
It is happening right now. They've been reviewing it the last couple of work session meetings. So I'm hopeful, maybe as soon as the October work session, which will be October 14th. No, actually October 16th because of Columbus Day.
Okay, so to wrap this, you're going to draft a positive letter.
Yep.
I'm gonna draft a letter
With his personal opinion.
with my personal opinion, and
Okay.
you can determine whether it's positive or not.
Okay, but will you also write something that's the result of your discussion with Mike about,
Aside from my letter, yes.
Yes,
So
yes.
that's
Okay.
what Susan would
Yeah.
include,
okay.
Yeah.
electing Susan
So-
to write a letter to
And-
the town.
When's Mike back? When's he available?
It must be soon, he's been gone a long time.
Okay. I mean, I
What
can
is
do it based on what
It's traveling.
but it'd be good to do it with him. It's-
Okay.
So basically, we went through the spreadsheet, I'll summarize it, and the numbers aren't changing. The numbers
Yeah.
are what was
Yeah,
in
yeah,
there.
we'll show what this
Yeah.
will get into.
Okay, then I would just like to say to my fellow EDC members, would you also please send me your suggestions for what this might,
Yeah,
your
I can do
ideas?
Certainly.
So-
Okay. You cannot,
Not to everybody, just send them to me.
no,
To
they
Brian.
can't. If every,
Send them to
if
Brian.
everybody communicates with you,
Okay,
you
send
create
them
a
to
moral
Brian,
issue.
send them to Brian, and Brian will send them to me.
Okay, so,
I will take them, I will compile them into a single anonymous document, and then they can be incorporated into a draft letter that comes back for everybody's review and approval at a
I don't
public
have to do
meeting.
anything.
okay, so then, Brian, actionable for you. Since not everybody's here, can you send a quick email request for comments on this matter?
Sure.
Thank you. All right, let's, so I have a.
So then I don't have to write anything.
Not yet.
Last-
She wants to say something.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, just from the public perspective, when you talk about having the meeting before the town council, on the draft ordinance, it's kind of coming across that it's all gonna be negative, but that is the place where you're gonna hear from people in a formal setting, and then you'll get feedback, the council gets feedback, they can make changes, they can, so, and they don't have to vote on things right away, they can say,
table.
we had this public meeting, this was a lot of good stuff, and it doesn't have to happen like this, but it doesn't have to be negative. We have to have this
And
done
I don't
by a certain
expect
time.
this to happen
No,
like that.
I wouldn't think
It-
so.
It
It's
will
way-
be at least 2 meetings, maybe more.
I'm
And,
interested to see what happens.
there has also been a lot of positive public input into the concept, and hopefully we get as many of those people showing up as we do the people who are, oppositional to the project.
If I can just say, in the old days, way back, the town council used to have a public hearing, and you can go back and look at those books of minutes, and they'd continue it. And they'd continue it not till the next one. They'd actually think about it, and they'd come back to the meetings, and they would have thought about all of these things, and then sent it, to redraft. And I think sometimes you have a public hearing, and they all are just trying to make these decisions right then, instead of taking it all in and just stretching it out a little bit more.
I agree with you. I think it puts a lot of pressure on the council to
Does.
try and make a decision immediately following public comment. You've usually heard from a lot of people, and I think walking away, considering everything that you heard over the course of a couple of weeks until the next council meeting is usually a wise way to go, especially with an ordinance that is, 30, 40 pages long and very different in concept from the kinds of zoning they're used to doing.
This is a
Good
huge
stuff.
change. I mean, I opened it up, it was 99 pages. I'm like,
Yep.
I've seen part of this, I'm not gonna read this. 99 pages. I looked at some pictures. But it is huge for the town, and it's good to hear all of your input and how you're really working on it. And I like when you were talking about how do you incentivize people, because it doesn't have to be a huge incentive, just tell them what the incentives are and maybe give them something. Because while the value of their property may go up, their taxes will go up. They're gonna be thinking about that. If they're gonna go up significantly,
Just to clarify, their taxes wouldn't go up, the tax base, the taxable square footage would go up. So they'd be bringing in more revenue, presumably, from the additional square footage.
but
That's
if you're the
that's
business
idea.
owner, you're worried that you're not gonna bring in that revenue.
Right, vacancies and all that.
Yeah, I'm gonna be sitting on my $1 million piece of property that's
Sure.
now $1.5 million piece of property, and I've gotta pay the taxes. while I'm doing whatever I'm doing.
But that's if they decide to make improvements to the property. If they decide not to, nothing changes.
Yeah, just the fear of, you mentioned this, you own some properties that are empty, right? And so you can own some properties that are empty right now, so he's paying taxes on vacant land. Maybe the incentive is there's no tax on vacancy. I think they'll go for that. I mean, we can suggest
Switch
it.
the code, yeah.
I mean, or maybe there's a two-year.
It's hard to have an empty building.
Yeah, maybe there's a 2-year leeway period. So, one thing that Joe Ely.
Ely.
Really?
There you go.
Ah.
All right.
Really?
He's got it.
He's got it.
I wanted to say it. I didn't even know how I was saying it before. So Ely, Joe Ely, who I meet all the time, but I can't say his last
Name
name
right.
correctly. Sorry, Joe, if you're listening. I'll get it right one day. He had mentioned that the mall, our mall,
Yep.
which I didn't know was a mall when I moved here, but it's a mall, our mall. We all know what the mall is.
Wakefield Mall.
Wakefield
right?
Mall, okay,
We all
perfect.
know.
He drives, he wants people to be successful who rents there. So he's done things like the first year is 50% off of what the rent will be, just to let them get on their feet,
Mhm.
which is an amazing thing to do from a business person's perspective, right? The town could also do something like that. It's a suggestion we can make, is that
Incentive.
if you do, that's part of your incentive. If you do and you have vacancies, within 2 years, we will, forego taxes on vacant square footage or something. I know it's complicated to say that, but
Well,
that's an
I think
incentive.
we could say that there could be incentives. Incentives could be offered, that nice passive voice.
Yeah.
Because I think the more specific we are,
They're gonna expect it.
Yeah.
I don't think that's,
So Brian, when do you need those comments from us to incorporate into this composite?
I mean,
I mean,
they don't even have a meeting set yet for this.
I'm
so
just saying,
we have a lot of time.
I work on deadlines. When should I get it to you?
Next
tomorrow.
I'd say by next meeting, I'd say if you send it out.
If you get it out the next day, you got a deal.
I would
6
say,
o'clock tomorrow.
I would say within 2 weeks.
You get it out in one day and you got a deal.
2 weeks, because I'm gonna need some time to compile them
Yeah.
into a neutral document.
Okay.
Then Susan's gonna need some time to
Yep.
do something with them so that a draft can come back for discussion at the next meeting.
So October
2 weeks?
14th.
There you
Yeah,
go.
just make sure in the email, ask
It's
for
a
comment,
holiday, I think.
put the deadline,
Yeah.
do you want the responses?
He won't care. He doesn't work.
And we'll
October
do
14th is a holiday. I think it's Columbus Day.
I think the 13th is the.
Oh, okay, good. October
I don't
14th.
know. But no matter what, I'll work it. All right. Awesome.
I do want to remind Randy, just because I'm writing down the notes,
13th.
there was one third action item that you did not mention,
Thank
which
you.
was reaching out to the affordable housing folks.
Oh.
Got it.
So you
Right.
could still do that if you were interested.
Yeah, well, I just think in terms of writing that letter, it would be interesting to know what they have to say, so somebody.
Well, they
Is it
are
a combined
working on
letter?
that letter right now, and if you'd like to come to the meeting if somebody wants to
Yeah,
come to the
when is their
meeting on the
meeting?
23rd, they will be
Okay,
looking at
flying too early.
finalizing that letter.
What time on the 23rd?
7 o'clock, let me
Prost.
just confirm. the
7
date.
o'clock, Tom.
Noted.
Thursday,
October.
Thursday, October 23rd, and the meeting will be in the
That works
planning
out.
department.
Who's the chair of that committee now?
Josh Port?
Oh, yeah, I know Josh.
23rd, you said?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to be in Boston that day.
Well, even so, could we get the letter when it's sent? If it's going to town council, to public, right?
Yeah, no, once they finalize it and send it, it's public.
So their letter will get to them
Send it
before
to you.
ours does. So worst case scenario, we just, if you don't mind, Brian, once that becomes public, sharing it to
Yeah.
our team.
All right. That works. Just wanted to make sure they didn't get.
No,
buried.
thank you for bringing it up. Appreciate that. Nice work. I have another. I guess I have another suggestion. It's not under new business. Brian, should I wait until new discussion issues?
Yeah, if you're adding something, and just remember,
We have to be out of here at 8.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for like 14
All right,
minutes.
So could you give us a quick recap, staff update?
So, everything's pretty much outlined. The Silver Spring Marina is scheduled for a planning board hearing on the 16th. The village at South County Commons, they're still going through the process for their restrictions and finish up a couple of other technical matters. But that's just about done. The hospital's acquisition of the property at 11 Kenyon for a new off-site parking area was approved by the planning board at the end of September. We are working with Liberty Lane, South County Post and Beam. They have an approval there for multiple buildings, and they're looking to add about another half acre of pavement parking area or laydown area.
Half an acre?
Half an acre, yeah, 20,000 square feet. So we're trying to communicate with them about whether they've looked at stormwater runoff and other issues that would be associated with all that additional impervious space. 82 Main Street, which is a mixed-use development out of a former credit union property on Main Street, is in front of the Technical Review Committee next week. And the
Wait,
law.
what's 82 Main Street?
It's a brick building north of Woodruff. If you're going north
Oh.
towards Route 138, it's on the right. It's a brick building. It's kind of narrow, but it's very deep.
Oh, Hallowell, was it the
Yeah,
Hallowell
I think it
building?
was, yeah.
The insurance building, Babcock in Hallowell, right after Rod Cabin was built in.
Okay.
So wait, Brian, on all these projects, I've seen water. I raised water as an issue about 3 years ago. Now it's in the newspapers where people are complaining. How is that being reconciled? We're adding these like 300 units up in West Kingston. How's that going to affect the water
Well,
and our infrastructure, sewers as well?
so, as part of these development processes, they have to go to the water district and get a will serve letter. So if the water district isn't saying we can't supply, or we don't have enough water, or our infrastructure won't support the water.
I get you there, but there's a growing consensus that right now, without any addition, they can't support the demand.
Well, there's a growing consensus based on no actual fact.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I've got a
Sign-
well, so it's not me.
There's a sign when you could drive into town that says there's an outdoor water ban, like until further notice.
Yeah.
So that's at least some
Yeah.
factual
All right.
data point.
I mean, it's not this committee's. I mean, it's a good thing to
No,
learn.
no, but just
it's
the-
not our committee's.
The companies that supply our water are not telling us that they have the inability to supply more water.
I would expect them not to. Their interest is to provide connections, but okay.
They're not gonna be making any money if their wells run dry
Yeah.
either. I mean, long term, they need to be conserving so they can supply the customers that they have.
I'm just reading a lot about residents in Narragansett and parts of South Kingston where it's a problem.
Yeah.
We have had
All right.
a very unusually long dry.
True. This summer's been really bad.
Weather.
So,
Drought.
And the projections are it's going to get worse.
Anything lofts at Fairgrounds, Brian?
yeah, that's the former Schneider Electric
Yeah.
property, 6 residential buildings.
6? I thought it was 3.
No, 6.
6.
That's the 330.
6 residential buildings plus an amenities building. It started out at 360 or 370
Right.
units at pre-application. When they started putting pen to paper, it's now dropped to 311 units at master plan. And we'll see where it goes from there. It could drop even lower when they start actually doing hard engineering on what they need to do, so.
So, Brian, this is a rough, not hold me to it, between South County Commons, Law, Liberty, Village, etc. Are we talking, I got somewhere between 500 to 600 new units possibly coming online?
No, well, you Fairgrounds.
Okay, just between the two.
Yeah, so that's
700.
415
Between the just
units
those two
between those two
properties.
sites. The other sites are not residential, so there's no additional.
So, wait, how many at South County Commons?
100, 102.
Oh, 102, okay. I thought you just said
Then
400.
you got 30 units of Main Street, right?
Same between the lofts and South County.
It's
It's 300.
It's 400 or something.
But,
Oh.
417.
Yeah, but don't,
Oh, 311 and
Yeah.
102.
311.
Yeah.
and everything else is commercial, it's not.
The 82 Main Street has a commercial component. It's mixed use. I'm not sure how many units they're talking about there.
Okay, so let's say it's just,
Handful, 5 or 6.
okay, so it's
Not
under
gonna be
five,
big.
No, but
not more than 500 new units, say, coming online.
No.
Between, okay, but over 400.
Well, I mean, these are the things that are currently in the development process. I mean, we just had an approved development at the intersection of Old North Road and Stony Fort Road. That's 39 single-family homes going in there.
Okay.
We have a new approved development on Broad Rock. That's 19 units in there. There's an approved subdivision going in at the corner of South Road and Allen's Avenue. That's 14 units. That's actually under construction at this point.
what about Main Street, right? Isn't there about 30, 33
townhouses.
units? Yeah.
Main Street?
In that mansion that's there?
571, Roland Fiore's.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, there's
Those behind the old
potential
Benny's.
units
40.
there, but
Holberg's.
they're in the middle of an application for a change to their plan, so we don't really know what the final number is there yet.
Okay, so then just.
How many
it's over
units is
500. Okay.
Behind Benny's is
Behind
20,
Job Lot.
right? 20?
12.
12?
Holly's always had 12 units.
Okay, so if the loft's approved, then we get over 500 units coming online. Then.
Yeah, probably,
Okay.
between things that have already been approved and things that are in the process.
Okay, that's a pretty significant number. I mean, it is to me. I don't know if it is to the town.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, it seems significant.
Compared to the need, it's still small. but
Yeah,
it's
6 minutes. 5 minutes. All
No,
right.
1 minute, because I have to be out of here at 8 o'clock too, which means I have to pack everything.
All right, so quick. So this is this came up earlier. Could we make a request to town council to make an exception for quorum total based upon military absence or travel absence?
They cannot adjust the quorum. They can set the size of the board. Quorum is set by state law.
But what do we have to do to give Jack a leave of absence or something, so he's not counted in the quorum? We can't do that?
You
We can't ask
so
the
long as
town?
so long as he's continues to be a member of the board.
Okay, so maybe.
Quorum is a majority of the board.
He would have to resign from the board?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think maybe we should.
No, he would have to resign from the board and the council would have to eliminate the seat.
Okay.
So even if we have an empty seat, we have to count that in the quorum?
Yes.
All right.
Do we have any empty seats?
So for example, say you had 6 unfilled seats and only 5 sitting members, you could not convene a meeting because you could not bring a
So we need
quorum.
to fill that extra gap.
Wow.
That would help. Okay. All right.
And we have one open seat.
Yeah, right. We have one open.
No, I think we're full
no.
at this point.
Oh,
Oh.
I think Jerry grabbed the
Oh,
last
yeah,
empty
that's
seat.
right.
Jerry!
Jerry.
You got in, Jan. You just got in.
Two in a row.
Yeah.
You're batting 1,000.
Exclusive club.
Okay, that was all.
People standing at the
Okay.
door.
So, motion to adjourn?
Sure, I move to adjourn.
All right.
Aye.
Ian, Aaron, thank you everybody for coming. Thank
Good
you,
job,
Brian.
Randy.